Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenge of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and with Matthew enjoying Father's Day here in Australia. I saw a photo of his wife after a girls' night out last night. She was a bit worse for wear. It's just Ryan and myself. How you going, buddy?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Hopefully Matty is enjoying the Father's Day there, but I love that his missus has gone for a night out the day just before it's Father's Day. I think that's fantastic. It's like, it is Father's Day, so you deal with the children and I'll deal with the hangover.
Yeah, I think I saw a photo of her. They went to the beach and she was flat out with the sun hat over her face while Maddie was chasing the three kids down the beach. Or so Maddie tells us anyway. It might not have been like that, but that's what the image portrayed.
Oh, fantastic.
How's everything going over there, mate? It's chalk and cheese at the moment. You would obviously be the cheese, and here in Melbourne, we'd be the chalk. How's the cheese?
Yeah, it's good. It's so climbed another mountain yesterday, knocked off Scaffold Pike, which is the highest mountain in the United Kingdom. So we've knocked off not the United Kingdom, England. And we've knocked off the three peaks, which is the three highest mountains within the United Kingdom, being Snowdon in Wales, Ben Nevis in Scotland, and Scaffold Pike. So I am en route back to Manchester to spend some time there, watch a comedy show tonight, not to rub it into you, go out for dinner, enjoy a little bit of culture, and then downwards to London on Monday to get back into it, work, study, and everything that is to come.
Well, comedy sounds good. Night Out at the Comedy sounds pretty good, albeit I've been watching Dave Chappelle on Netflix, so I'm going okay on the comedy front.
I did find when we're in the depths of the long lockdowns, the comedy specials on Netflix and Stan and so forth were a big uplift and definitely a must.
Well, I've got my alcohol-free beer because I'm at day 301 of not having booze. I'll open an alcohol-free beer and watch a comedy session after. We talk about how we managed to find ourselves in our current careers. So we're going to talk about careers tonight and how we got to where we are, and I guess how we went about, choosing in both our cases, our profession or what we do.
Yeah, I mean, bit of a challenge for the modern man of like, what do you spend your time doing to earn $1? But first of all, well done. Raised the bat, 301, pushing for 334, the good old Sir Dons.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea how you were doing 301 days alcohol free in lockdown with a little kid, but well done.
Yeah. Sometimes I question. I often question Google. So we have a Google Assistant, like the little speaker, and you can talk to it. And every now and again, when the day is really hard, I'll just ask Google how many days it's been since the 8th of November 2020, which is when I last had a drink. And it'll tell me how many days. And it just reinforces it. Yeah, I've checked a lot of sort of, if you're kind of doing those old picket fences, a lot of ones and crosses on it. So
good.
So, mate, how did your profession is physiotherapy? You've studied other areas as well, but how did you find your way into physio? What planted the seed?
Yeah, it was a bit of a mixed agenda, and I mean, so I did a physio degree and now run business in healthcare. So I've kind of moved there and just about to undertake a business degree. But I suppose for me, it was really, I was one of those people that thought I always knew what I was going to do when I was a little kid. After being in primary school and wanting to be a secret agent and James Bond, and then realizing that maybe James Bond is a little bit fictional and it probably doesn't happen in the real world. And the espionage today is a lot of computers and analysis and listening in on other countries and so forth and politics. I then was on the track to be an engineer. I was good at maths. I was good at physics. I think with most people, it's kind of like you have a natural tendency towards something and you're like, I should do something in that space. And I like building stuff. So I thought that was a bit of a no-brainer. But then, and I was very encouraged by my family and so forth. The other big thing I did really want to do was business. But I was kind of disencouraged on that front. And yeah, lo and behold, did school, did all right, got into an engineering course, and a couple of weeks into it, I was just like, I don't think this is really for me. Don't really want to work on computers. I want to work with people, so forth. So, short of it was, there was like all these years and all these school, plans, and pick this subject and do all this towards one path. And then within 6 months, I think, of being 17 and at uni, I finished the first semester and took a break, and then went, okay, what's next? And kind of ruled out still was deterred on going and doing a business degree. So then I was like, well, do I do medicine? Well, I'm no good with blood and open wounds, so that one ruled that one out. Law, I like talking and arguing, but don't like reading abundance of text and whatnot, so that ruled that one out. And then I was like, oh, love sport, played heaps of sport, I like health, I want to work with people, physio sounds good. And that's about how much logic was put into the decision, to be honest.
What's that? But it sounds like you started to go down one path, maybe worked out that path wasn't for you, and you changed tack, which is, some people don't do that. Some people just go straight through, I guess, doing what they started doing when they were 18 and do it forever. So at least you recognize that maybe the path you're on wasn't the one for you, and you changed paths. So I think that's an important thing for people to remember as well. Just because you've started something doesn't mean you have to do it forever, nor if you've been doing it for maybe 20 years, you don't have to continue doing it forever.
Yeah, and similarly, I was reading something about that as well, in terms of like, it's never too late to change and do something different that might interest you. And what interested you when you were 20 might not interest you when you're 40. And yeah, much the same. I think I'm kind of pivoting into another path now, and really sort of just enjoying that and leaning into it. But I mean, what about yourself? I think you're at a little bit of a crossroads in terms of what to do next. I would imagine. But how did you get into the old bean counting, accounting profession?
Well, it's funny, actually, it was almost the opposite to you. I started out maybe wanting to do physiotherapy, and I did work experience at 2 physiotherapists, and one of them was really good. It was a more sports-based physio. It was actually Andrew Callaway, who is Duncan Callaway's brother, ex-Richmond players. So yeah, it was actually his offsider for a week, and then I was offsider another physio for a week. And I guess there's a difference between that sports physio and I guess what you term everyday physio, where the everyday physio, when I did work experience, I had to put the bathers on and get in and help some older ladies with some hydrotherapy-based stuff. And maybe that didn't kind of tick the box on what I would have seen me doing, sort of longer term. Also thought at one point I'd applied to be a chiropractor. So when I put my university preferences in, so I had a number of accountancy degrees in chiropractic. So that's what I'd really kind of gone with. And I happened to get into accountancy. So I went with that, thinking that it'd be a good degree to help teach me the fundamentals of business to ultimately, either start my own business or help people in business. So that's what I've done for the last 20 years. I've just recently stepped away in the last 3 months from doing direct accounting work. So I don't actually help accounting clients anymore. So I'm at a bit of a crossroads where I've got another business which is helping accounting firms with staffing and consulting. But I'll probably have a bit more time. Well, I will have a bit more time once schools go back and the pandemic, it'll probably never end, but at least sort of eases off and we get out of lockdown here. So it is kind of a crossroads. I don't think I'll go back and study anything formally, but I'm sure I'm just trying to work out what I'll stumble onto next.
Yeah, and I think it's good to hear that even you, somebody who's done something for 20 odd years, is actually looking to change and open up. I know a lot of people, like you said, who have done something and then kind of just gotten into the rut of it, and that's probably, as opposed to what to do, probably more what worries me. And I think like I look at my brother, he's a tradie. And he's always been, much more hands-on and very good on that front, and genuinely just sort of followed that and tried a few different trades in terms of spent some time with some sparkies and some aircon guys and some plumbers and so forth, and ended up just getting a feel for the aircon stuff, and has done that and really enjoyed it. And I think, you know, like what you said, in terms of actually, I did all the big things of when I was looking at the engineering side of things going, I did all the research and all that kind of stuff, but would have just been good to have gone and spent some time with them and kind of short-circuited a few things. And I think you can't, if you are interested in something, going and finding somebody who does it is a big way to find out whether you're going to like it or not.
Yeah, and that's really good advice for parents out there who are talking to their kids about what their kids might wanting to do. If you're a younger person and you're wondering what you maybe want to do as a profession or career, that is really good advice to actually go and talk to somebody who actually does it. And most people will be more than happy to share some time with somebody who's genuinely inquisitive about what they do. It's flattering if you're asked what you do. I know I've been asked before about being an accountant and what it entails and things like that. And I don't say I'm probably pretty realistic about these sort of things. So I don't sugarcoat things if I get asked. So I think most people are happy to talk about what they do on a day-by-day basis, even if they don't really like it that much.
Yeah, and I think the other big thing is, like, especially today, it's so, I mean, there's so many more things to do than what there was, you know, even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And you can kind of find an interest in anything. And ultimately, there's a lot of problems that need to be solved. So the world, I think, is opening up to a few more people too, and people are becoming a lot more open to doing different things from when they started, or a lot less fixed paths, I guess, is what I'm saying. So just kind of being flexible with that. I mean, I might work in health for the next 20, 30 years. I might not. And just being open to the ability to switch and play around and do things that are just fun and interesting, I think is probably quite handy. Because most people I speak to have, how do you do what you do, or how have you gotten there? Very few go, I had this plan and I've executed on this plan for the last 10 or 20 years. Most people go, I had this plan, but then this happened and this happened, this happened, and then it actually turned out really good. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Those sort of sliding door moments. Sometimes the easiest thing is to not change what you're doing. I've probably, even in the accounting industry, I've changed what I did 3 or 4 times before I sort of exited. So in that 20 years, I started out as a straight out tax consultant. So just consulting to sort of big corporates on tax issues. So, you know, almost like quasi a tax lawyer, providing advice and, you know, doing high-end tax returns. I moved into superannuation. I started outsourcing. I started my own business. I started an outsourcing business. So even in that 20-year span, I've done 4 or 5 different things. So you're right. There's heaps of different ways to get to different locations, as long as you're open to changing it. Again, sort of maybe sometimes taking that risk of not knowing what's going to happen instead of just going with the status quo because it's easier. Easiest thing in the world would have been for me to stay as a tax consultant all the way through, and, you know, maybe be a partner in an accounting firm doing X. Would I be happy doing that? Probably. I know I wouldn't be. Hence why I kind of swapped and changed and, you know, learnt new things all the way through.
Yeah, and I know a few people that have kind of reached the kind of ceiling of where they wanted to reach in a certain thing, and then just have completely like done a whole sell up and pivoted and done something completely different. I met a cafe owner when I was doing the obstacle racings out in one of the country towns, who used to be like a high-end lawyer back in Melbourne, and just went, yeah, did it for 10 years. It was awesome. Cracked it. And then now I live here, and because I've got this huge passion for, you know, single origin source coffee and loves it. So I think, you know, sometimes going with what sparks a bit of joy is also just one of those beautiful ways to be open to sliding door moments, and just looking for those potentially signals of, you know, where you can have an impact and where you can leave a little special mark on the world. Because we spend a lot of time at work, so you might as well do something that's positive to the planet.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I reckon it's a really good place to wrap up this evening. I'll give some really good tips tonight on, or I say advice, some information around, maybe just being open to changing things or open to what you do and maybe not pigeonholing yourselves because you're probably more capable than you may believe that you are. So always stay open. Do remember to subscribe to Daddy Eats Last on iTunes if you haven't done already. And while you're there, please leave a review. Also tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys. Most of all, thanks for listening. I'll be back next week with another episode, or should I say serving of Daddy Eats Last. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.